Welcome back to Danese Media. Now, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday on Sunday, during a church service in Kirinyaga County, truthful man Rigathi Gachagua promised the citizen of this country of Kenya to spill the bean over a plot by President William Ruto, CS Joko, and I.E.B.C vice chair on electoral system ahead of 2027 election. And this is where we want Gachagua to stick on. We want Gachagua to continue exposing some secret evil plans under the government of William Ruto towards 2027 election, especially within the I.E.B.C system. Because hapo ndio kuna uwizi wa kura. Ukarabati wa kuiba kura huwa inatengenezwa hapo. And Gachagua knows how they make Ruto to be the president of Kenya in the last general election. Wanajua vile ambavyo waliibia William Samoei Ruto kura. Which is true. And before we proceed, please ensure that you like the video. When you like the video, you automatically show us your support on what I'm doing on this platform. Thank you so much for that support of the like.
Kuna kitu ingine wanataka kufanya hapo kwa I.E.B.C. wakiwa na Joho na vice chairman wa I.E.B.C. Ecosystem wanataka kulete ya kuiba uchaguzi ambaye ni details imebaki tu kidogo. Unajua sitakagi kusema kitu kabla sijapata yenyewe sawa. So imebaki kidogo. Ninaomba Mungu by kesho kabla sijaondoka nikuwe nimepata. Ndio tuambie wa Kenya. Na unajua mimi si mtu ati anapewa information naenda ku negotiate na rais na serikali. Mimi nikipewa information na Kenya inasaidia.
We can continue. That one I can support. I can encourage my viewers to listen to that video so carefully. Hiyo nayo na support. Because the government of William Samoei Ruto is planning to rig the vote, to rig 2027 election. Ni kitu kwenye wamekuwa wakisema. How many times have Oscar Sudi said that kura ya rais isipojaa watajaza? Now watu wa I.E.B.C wamekuwa wakinyamaza. After that one, the deputy governor of Kakamega County called Savula within the ODM party also said that Ruto ndiye anatengeneza I.E.B.C. Ruto ndio wakulipa I.E.B.C. Ruto ndiye anatengeneza budget. Itakuwaje Ruto hata shinda 2027?
Sasa niko chama tawala. Sisi ndio tunatengeneza budget ya uchaguzi. Sisi ndio tunalipa I.E.B.C pesa. Sisi ndio tunalipa commissioners pesa. Ruto ndio mwenye hiyo budget. Sasa Ruto taanguka namna gani nyinyi? Wewe unatengeneza budget ya kuanguka? Haki ya Mungu, hata kama wewe ni mwendazimu. Hapa Uganda Museveni ashaanguka kura. Na ukiangalia intelligence ya Museveni, angalia intelligence ya William Ruto, nani waya inasoma juu? Sasa wewe hata kama huna akili, angalia intelligence ya huyu Mama Suluhu. Mama Suluhu. Na angalia intelligence ya William Samoei Ruto. Gani intelligence iko juu? Sasa Mama Suluhu akishinda na 97%, sisi hapa Kenya tutashinda na 100%. Na hiyo itawezekana. Kwa sababu hii ping pong ya kusema tuliweka Jomo Kenyatta, tukaweka Kibaki, tukaweka Uhuru, round hii tusupport hii Mkale, tumalizane naye uongozi kuja kwa Waluya. Tuko tayari? Hebu nione tutamia Ruto.
Ama wakusema the government of William Samoei Ruto have been threatening on how they will rig vote after feeling the heat from the united opposition led by Rigathi Gachagua.
Now Ruto's 2027 master plan rests on three strategic planks that Moi exploited to the maximum in 1992. One of them is that it is not demography what has been praised at or suggested as a tyranny of numbers that wins an election. Far from it. Second, it is not the amount of money or the war chest that you have built that wins election. What wins an election is the superiority of the strategy in order to secure power Numbers and money have their place, but that is to facilitate or to support victory. It is the strategy that wins. And Ruto is heavily investing in strategy, only using his deep resources to back that strategy. And the strategy is essentially to divide the opposition and push the election to the runoff and eventually use state machinery to win the runoff.
But does he have the numbers? Yes, you have divided. Will people vote for him?
Well, he's not working to get people to vote for him. That is basically a fantasy or a figment in the imagination of us who are in the opposition. Ruto is having a multifaceted strategy that ensures that he might be the top of the runoff, if not the second.
Okay.
First, he's focusing on Ruto and Nyanza. He started by splitting Azimio, which effectively divided the Kikuyu and the Ruo right in the middle, because the Ruo went to the government and the Kikuyu went into the opposition, or the Mount Kenya people went into the opposition. He has moved on to consolidate the Ruo-Kalenjin alliance that sustained Moi in power between 1992 and 2002, because it was cooperation with Jaramogi Odinga and cooperation with Raila Odinga that enabled Moi to control parliament within those 10 years. And it is that coalition or cooperation that enabled Moi to govern with a hostile position at the time. The second thing is that he is dividing the Murembe nation, aware that the Murembe nation appears in three distinct parts that vote usually differently. There is the Kakamega cluster, which is now supporting Sifuna. There is the Busia cluster, which rallies around leaders like Otuoma, and there's the Bugoma, cluster, which normally has, Eugene, Tembea, and all these other opposition leaders are largely coming from around there. And now when you divide the Murembe nation, what do? You create proxies. You create parties that seems to be independent, but they are not. You whip movements that are sensational, and you also sponsor powerful individual leaders who are allied indirectly to the government. But when they present themselves to the people, they appear as independent as they can. So that is the second thing. In the third one is, this one will shock you, but it's not new. They want to absorb the Wiper nation, Ukambani, to the broad-based coalition, together with the ODM, and basically win Kalonzo over. That is their strategy, and they are working on it. If this fails, as it might be, UDA is going to sponsor Kalonzo behind the curtains with his consent or without his consent, Matiba style.
Yeah, they would want Kalonzo
to go alone, to go it alone. And when he go it alone, that guarantees him or guarantees Ruto a winner. Now, so Kalonzo will become a presidential flag bearer if the opposition does not make him one flag bearer. Obviously, he has a choice to make, but that is Ruto's strategy. The fourth point is to divide Mount Kenya. In Mount Kenya, the idea is not to win the vote. The idea is not even to have a party that is allied to UDA, because it has no chance. It will be basically smeared as a small wheelbarrow and therefore will not win. The idea is to work on a post-election coalition with like-minded leaders and political parties in the region, and then push the rest to the opposition in the grand coalition that Ruto looks forward to forming. And therefore, we'll have leaders, we'll have parties, and we'll have individual proxies who will be amenable to a post-election Ruto-led grand coalition. That is his aim in Mount Kenya, because Mount Kenya has become irretrievably hostile.
He knows the votes.
And he knows no vote is coming. He's not even counting.
Alongside Linda Mananchi people that is being led by Babu Owino, James Orengo, and alongside Edwin Sifuna. So hii maneno ya Gachagua kutuambia Kenyatta kufanyika kwa I.E.B.C, we should be very careful on that sector, because that is the place that kura huwa inaibwa hapo. And the way they will, and this is how it will happen. Watakuwa na goons. Watapeleka goons kwa polling station, then waanze vita hapo. So ile time yenye watu watakuwa wanakimbia, that is the time or the moment that hawa watu wa I.E.B.C watakuwa wanaibia William Samoei Ruto kura. Hivyo ndio inafanyika. Vugu inafanyika kwa polling station, then wakati watu wanakimbia kuna nini, hapo ndio kura wao inaibiwa. Wao wanaiba kura. So let us listen to Rigathi Gachagua so careful. Then beside that one also, President William Samoei Ruto have also break silence after Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta reject his call of uniting things in this country of Kenya under his government.
My predecessor had an option, to become a statesman and rise above politics and, become a unifying, factor in a country. But he chose to climb down and become an opposition leader. Because in your own statement, in your own headline, is the chairperson of Azimio up to now. Is the chairperson of party leader of, and he's busy with this. What you people wrote. He's busy organizing the opposition against me. Of course, I have tried to persuade him, because I thought, as my former boss, I tried to, persuade him that maybe he could play a different role. In fact, I remember when I was thinking, about how to take Kenya to the next level, I went and sat down with the former Prime Minister. And I told him, you see, we are now the elders, we are the leaders of this nation. Why don't we work together, grow a bigger vision for Kenya, that then, we can hand over to the next generation of leaders. And the former Prime Minister was I must say, I must give him credit. He was up to it. In fact, he immediately told me, look, I am going to look for Professor Hino. But I agreed with the former Prime Minister that it is important that we look for the former president. And I went out of my way, I looked for him. I went and saw him first in Ichaweri. I also came and saw him in his office here. And then I talked to him to persuade him that, look, as a former head of state, the only one living now, please help us to, forge, a new, vision for the country. But he was reluctant, and he said he wasn't sure he wanted to do that. Well, those are choices people make. So, of course, he chose to do what he's doing, organizing the opposition and sponsoring them. And even in your own assessment, these people in the opposition, do they look that they have any idea of where they are going? In your estimation, can you explain how people who are supposed to be intelligent have no plan, they have no vision, they have no agenda? If you ask this one, he says, oh, I want to abolish Shah. Do you have an alternative? They cannot tell you. Another one there is saying, we want to abolish housing. We want these houses to be broken down, or maybe, I don't know, done what. Do you have an alternative? What about the Constitution? The Constitution talks about housing. What about that?
Yep.
Another one here, you listen to another one, is the only argument he has against housing is that chicken, I don't know, cannot climb the stairs. Now, let me ask you, looking at those people, do they look like don't they look sponsored? Don't they look hired? Don't they look like stooges of somebody and they are, puppets? Because how do you explain people who are supposed to be reasonable, intelligent, lawyers, they've all of a sudden, they cannot even, the kind of reasoning. I heard one of them when he was asked about, he said, my first is to come and abolish Shah. Why? Oh, the cost of dying has gone up. Really?
I told you that Ruto tried to reach to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta ili watengeneze mambo. He promised Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta something, a job. But mambo Uhuru alikataa, taki kuhusiana na mambo ya siasa ama mambo ya leadership ama mambo ya nini katika Jamhuri wa Kenya. Can we listen to William Samoei breaking silence after Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta reject his offer or his call? So that is what is happening in this country of Kenya as we are approaching 2027 general election, whereby we need to listen to Gachagua. That is what I'm saying. So Gachagua awachane na mambo ya kuingilia bibi ya Murkomen. Mara Murkomen anatusi wa Kikuyu na ameoa Mkikuyu, jimara nini. Hizo wachana nayo regarding Gachagua. Stick to your lane. That is not the level of your politics. We know your level, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua. So, wacha kuturudisha nyuma. You will make Kenyans start hating you. You know that Kenyans normally hate you because you are a tribal leader. You have been fighting for Mount Kenya people. So please, we are just requesting you that wachane na hizo vitu. Hizo ni vitu vidogo vidogo. So, wachana na hizo vitu Rigathi Gachagua. We just want you to keep on injecting this government. Kila siku wewe inject. We don't want anything outside injection. Piga tu siasa yako vizuri, prepare DCP, kila kitu. But maneno ya bibi ya mtu nini hizo wachana nayo. That is not the level of your politics. That is a cheap politics. Wacha akina Oscar Sudi wacheze na hiyo, akina Murkomen, Kimani Chungwa, wachana nao wacheze siasa kama hizo siasa ndogo ndogo. Those are petty politics. Thank you so much, and may God bless you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking your time to listen to our update concerning what is happening in this country of Kenya, especially within the political space. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.